Hi, my name is Dave Johansson, and I'm the owner of Blossom Hill Crafts Pottery School. Like you, I am sheltering at home, and we are getting through this time of crisis that we have. I hope you've come by our studio and picked up your bag of clay if you're local. And what we're going to do is we're going to learn how to make a slab-built mug that looks something like, but maybe not exactly like this today. So you're going to need a lump of clay, which I have here. And I'm going to break off a piece of it that is maybe about the size of a softball. You might see some pets running around here. I have 3 dogs, and yeah, they're going to just run around. Hopefully they won't start barking. We're sitting here at my coffee table in my living room, which is a good surface for me to do this on because it's real solid, and that's what you want. I've laid some newspaper out, and that's going to keep my surface clean. We're going to be like cutting the clay a little bit, and I feel fine doing that. I know I won't cut into the surface of my table, but you could put down a piece of cardboard or a cutting board or something like that underneath the newspaper to kind of help out with that. So I've got my softball sized piece of clay here, and I need just a little bit more clay than that. And I'm going to just get it into the shape of a softball, and I need just a little more clay. Sorry. See how I can just add clay like that? And I have my softball right here that's round. And now I'm going to just start pinching into that clay, moving around. I'm not making a pinch pot. I'm actually kind of trying to pinch out a little bit of a slab. Now I don't want to pinch really hard in one spot, because if I do that, I'll get a thin spot. And I've just kind of pinch this out now, and I've got this sort of flat slab like this. Now before I started, I took a piece of copy paper and I cut myself out a 5" by 9" rectangle. So you're going to want to get a piece of paper and cut a 5" by 9" rectangle. I've also cut a triangle here. This is 7½ inches long, and the widest part is 1.5 inches. So I made a rectangle, then put a point at the middle, drew 2 straight lines, and that's what I did. This is going to be for the handle. All right, so you're going to need a 5" by 9" paper rectangle and a 7½ inch long, and at the wide side 1.5 inch triangle. So I've got my piece of clay pinched out, and now I'm going to use this tumbler that I have here as a rolling pin. It actually works pretty darn good. It's an aluminum tumbler from Pete's, and I feel pretty confident using this. It'll clean up if I want to use it as a tumbler again. You could also use like a pastry roller from your kitchen if you felt comfortable doing that. You could use a piece of plastic PVC pipe, a dowel, an actual pin roller, or a rolling pin, that's what they call it. And I'm going to just start rolling this out. So I'm going to go in one direction, and then another, and then another. And we're going to just keep rolling this out. Now, eventually, I'm going to stop, and I'm going to pick it up, and I'm going to flip it over. And I'm going to do that so I don't get too much moisture down into the newspaper. I don't want it to stick. So there we go, and we're going to just keep rolling away. And rolling away. And I'm going to need to be able to get my 5 by 9 paper on there, so I got a little bit of rolling left to do. And I'm just rolling away. All right. We're going to just keep going at this and going. All right, we're getting pretty darn close. I'm going to pick this up and flip it over again because it's starting to stick to my paper just a little bit. Oh, look at that, it did stick. But I'm not going to worry about that at all. if there's a little paper left in my clay, it literally will just burn out of the clay. So it's really not a big deal. And like I said, it's helping keeping my surface clean. I've got another piece of newspaper right here. Yeah, I don't even have to get that newspaper really out. Just like that, I'm going to put that side back down on top of my newspaper here and just roll that out a little bit more. And I'm really focusing on trying to get it to be an even thickness. And there we go. And I'm shooting for about 1/4 of an inch. There we go. And there we go. My edges don't quite make it, but I'm not going to worry about that. I think I'm going to be well, let's go just a little bit more. Kind of rolling from the middle out. And I'm not going to worry about just getting that 100% perfect there. So there we go. And I've got myself a pretty good slab. You want to be about 1/4 of an inch thick. That's about your goal. So now I've got my paper on there, and I've got one little corner that's off a little bit, but so long as I'm mostly on there, I should be pretty good. And now, on my table here somewhere, I've got myself a little kitchen paring knife. You could use a needle tool, like a paper clip. You could use maybe a skewer. You might even be able to use a chopstick if it had kind of a pointy end. But I'm just going to come along this edge here now and cut that out. And I'm going to take this clay and set it aside. I'm going to keep it nice. I don't want to just ball it up quite yet. I might use it. And there we go. And there we go. And one more side here. There we go. So now I've got my slab of clay. And now I'm going to take this up and I want to put some texture in this. So I went on my walk yesterday and I picked some leaves. And I'm going to just kind of strategically place them on there. And I'm going to roll these leaves down into the clay. Now the leaf has a little bit of a, it kind of does this. And I'm going to have it this way. I don't want to put it down. I don't want it this way. I want it that way. On there. I'm going to put those two up just like that. And now I'm going to come back and I'm going to take my rolling pin and I'm going to just roll this down, flat down in to the clay. And we're not even going to take them out. We're going to leave them in there because when we fire the pot, the leaves will just burn out and they won't hurt anything, but you'll have the pattern or the texture of the leaf in there. Now when I roll it in, I'm rolling it in hard enough to get that pattern in there, but not so hard that I'm making the clay appreciably thinner. Just kind of lightly rolling it in there. And I found a stick that kind of has some cool texture in it. And I'm going to just come and I'm going to just kind of randomly roll that stick on my thing. And it's got kind of a cool texture. Maybe I'll try that texture over there now. It's kind of cool. And I'm just texturing my clay. And you can find anything to do this. However you want to go about creating texture. Clay just loves to have texture on it. Just like that. So there we go. And there I've got some cool looking texture on my slab. All right. So now, I was saying that you were going to need a soda can. So this is just a standard soda can. And you want to make sure that you don't get one that's more than 5 inches high because when we get out of this stay in place order, I'm going to fire these for you, but if they're taller than 5 inches, I won't be able to get them in the kiln for you. So don't, choose a standard size soda can. And we're going to take, this is just a nylon stocking, and I'm going to drop the soda can down into the nylon stocking. Hosiery, I guess you would call it. I'm going to drop it down into the hosiery, just like that. All right? And now, I'm going to take my slab, and I'm going to flip it over, just like that. Now, this little bit of newspaper that's in there, I'm just going to leave it. Not going to hurt anything. And I'm going to put my soda can down on there, kind of down to the edge like that. And I'm going to take my clay, and I'm just going to roll the clay over the top of the soda can, just like that. And then I'm going to stand it up. And you can see that I've got a seam right here where my clays have overlapped. And I'm not going to try to get rid of that seam. I'm going to just leave the seam in there, and I'm going to bring my clay like this, and I'm going to just pull it in, and I'm going to make that seam part of the design. And I'm just really going to compress that. And if you watch the video on the Pinch Pot Monsters, I was saying that if the clay is wet, so you're using wet clay on wet clay, there's no need to slip and score. But if I had let this get leather hard, I would have to slip and score in order to get it to connect. Now I just need to make sure that I'm really kind of compressing that clay. And I'm going to allow that seam to be there and just allow it to be a part of the design. All right, and maybe I'll just kind of bring that rim together a little bit. So now we're going to just take this and we're going to set it aside for a moment. And I'm going to get another ball of clay. And I'm going to pinch like this, kind of like I'm making a pinch pot, only what I'm really making is a slab. Remembering not to pinch too hard at one point ever. And we're just kind of pinching that out like that. All right. And now I'm going to come back to my rolling pin, or whatever you're using as a rolling pin. My Pete's tumbler here. And I've rolled out sort of a bit of a circle shape, just like that. I'm now going to take my mug and I'm going to set it down on that circle and really kind of firmly push it down. Now the soda can is still in the clay there. And I'm just firmly, I've just kind of grabbed around it. I'm not squeezing hard because I don't want to change it. I'm just firmly pressing it down. And now I'm going to come back with my knife and I'm going to cut a circle around the soda can, leaving about a little bit over 1/4 inch of clay all the way around. We're just going to cut around that, just like that. And I'm going to get rid of that clay. So it you can see that I've got some clay around the edge there. And now I'm going to take this clay and I'm just going to work it up like that. And again, I'm not going to try to make this perfect. I'm going to allow it to be a part of the design. And I'm really working it up like that. And it's just going to be part of the design like that. And because it's wet on wet clay, and because of the way that I'm doing this, I'm not ever going to have to slip and score. So one of the things you're going to notice is that I put my leaves up kind of high on the cup. And by doing that, what I did was I allowed myself to be able to pull this clay up without going over the top of the leaves. Or the leaves. So it's kind of, it's cool. It's very kind of, has sort of an outdoorsy, woodsy, organic kind of look to it. So now we're going to set that aside again. And I'm going to find my triangle pattern. Here it is, 7.5 by 1.5 inches. And I'm going to come over here to one of my scraps and It's going to come very close to fitting on this one, so I'm going to call that good enough. This is a guide. It does not have to be 100% perfect. And I'm now going to take and cut that down. And cut that down. And cut it across the top like that. And I now have the makings of a handle. So I'm going to come back over to this spot where I pinched where my joint was on my mug over here. And I'm going to take my handle this way, and I'm going to go right up to that mug with my hand like this, and I'm going to push in with my thumb. Just push in. You see how I did that? I just pushed in with my thumb. Now I'm going to hold this in my hand this way, and I'm going to come down to the bottom, and I'm going to put my thumb right there, and I'm going to grab the lead of this, and I'm just going to pinch it off like that. And I'll come back in here and kind of push that in there, and just kind of try to get that to look neat. And now I've got a handle. Whoops. See, I broke it a little bit, but I can go back and fix it. If I was unhappy and I thought the handle was too small, I could make a new handle. And there we go. Now, I'm going to take the nylon and I'm going to pull the can out. All right? So, what you want to do is you want to let this sit until the pot gets to be about leather hard. Okay? So, it's not pliable anymore, but the clay is still, it's still not dry. And we're going to get just a little piece of plastic. And the plastic I have here is cleaner plastic, like from a dry cleaner, but any kind of plastic will do. And you're going to get it a little bit wet. And my pot is too wet to do this right now. But you're going to take it like this around the edges, and you're going to make that edge nice and smooth. Now, I don't want to get this super wet. And then you're going to kind of very gently do the same thing to the edges on your handle, right? But wait till it dries up a little bit. Very gently to the edges on your handle, and you're going to just smooth them up. Not much water, just a little bit on your plastic. Again, I'm Dave Johansson. This is Blossom Hill Crafts, and have fun while you stay safe. Bye now.